certain questions like don't answer. That's fine.
No problem.
Yeah. We also have the questions coming on the screen. So it becomes so people watching will know if they join in, they'll know the context. So that is also there. We'll just wait for a few folks to join in. Are you in Mumbai today?
Yeah, in office.
Okay, cool. So we'll start.
Yeah.
So, hi everyone. Welcome to the Finance Stories Career Insight series, where we bring you conversations with leaders to help you make better decisions for your career and organization. So, India is known for its entrepreneurial spirit, and in recent times, the opportunities for entrepreneurs have been immense. However, research shows only a tiny percentage of people show the courage to start after 40, let alone after 45. But there are a few exceptions, and one such individual is Girish Vanvari, the founder of Transaction Square, which is a leading tax, regulatory, and business advisory firm. So, Girish founded Transaction Square with four of his founders in 2018 at the age of 46. And in just 6 years, Transaction Square, a bootstrap venture, has expanded its footprint to over 14 cities, 1,400 plus clients, and advising on deals worth more than $20 billion. So before launching this venture, Girish spent 13 years at KPMG, where he was a national head of tax. And his impressive career includes strong track record deals, M&A deals, restructuring transactions, and he's been a part of some of the industry's largest deals. So today, Girish is actually going to take us through his journey and his team's journey of building Transaction Square from day zero till date. So, Girish, thank you so much for joining in, and thanks a lot for the time.
Oh, thanks for having me. Thanks for the invite. Thank you.
Thank you, Girish. And everybody who's joining in, if you have any questions for Girish, like just type in and we will take it in at the earliest. So we will not wait for the end of the conversation. So, Girish, like my first question to you is the obvious one. How did you discover that tax is the profile for you? And also a little bit about, your life growing up and how did it shape you in a way that as of today?
Actually, I did my articles in audit.
Okay.
Tax was not my preference at all. After I did my articles and before I cleared my exams, I got married. And tax was a profession where you didn't need to travel. Audit made you travel. So I chose tax to just be at home with my wife, so I didn't need to travel. So it was an absolute coincidence, a necessity. But then as I started to get into it in Arthur Anderson, I started to love it. And that was a time where India was booming with inflows. FIBB was set up, Mauritius was discovered, a lot of money was coming in the country, and it was tax and business advisory. So you were not
Yep.
just advising people on tax, but we were advising people on the India and entry strategy. We were looking at it as a business problem, not as a tax as such.
Amazing. Amazing. Girish, would you want to? I've seen a lot of your podcast, where you talk about your journey earlier, but would you want to share a little bit about your journey growing up? Like, are you from Mumbai and a little bit on that?
Oh
So
yes, I'm an absolute born, brought up Bombay, Bandra person. I did my colleging from NM, where everybody did CA. So maximum CAs came from NM. It was the in thing to do. And after NM, I got into CA articleship because that time you couldn't do articleship along with your graduation.
yep.
And in my articles, I cleared uh, CA inter, CA final, and then chose to only have one degree. I don't have more than one degree. I just have one degree CA. Though a lot of my
Amazing.
friends have many degrees, but I chose to be just one degree. That's it.
That's amazing. Girish, I mean, we'll jump into your entrepreneurial journey, which is really exciting and amazing. Okay. But before that, okay, you had a stellar career growth at KPMG, right? You were the national head of tax at KPMG. So all of those people who are in the big four, which is so competitive at the moment, what are the two or three factors which you would like to tell them that could help them in their growth or which worked for you?
So I would think I did very well in KPMG thanks to the people in KPMG and the opportunities which the firm gave. It is the best firm in the country actually. If you want to be something, the firm gives you the opportunity. You can go out and be the CEO. You can elect yourself, position yourself, stand for the elections, go out and win. But what I realized is that as you grow in a big four career, you are more responsible for marketing. So the targets on the partners are more to deal with how much business you generate, how much business you grow, and also how much cross sell you do, how you go and market your firm to the clients. So essentially, it's a trade off between doing work yourself and actually going out and doing marketing for the firm. And the more and more you grow, the more and more marketing you become. And after that, you become useless because then you become just marketing. You become a salesman. So, so it's a trade-off. If you want to become useless and not have a career which goes up to 80 years, then you will, when you retire from a big four, you'll have nothing else to do. So, so it's a trade-off that one has to take. Do you love the profession? It's like being the best doctor in what you do versus being, managing a hospital as a CEO. So I chose that I wanted to go back to the profession, add value, be in client meetings, add value to my clients. So today, when I grow the firm, it's on excellence. It's not on marketing. So it's a shift which I did from being a market person in KPMG to being a professional.
Amazing. And that's so straightforward. That's great. So, Girish talking about, Transaction Square, right? So, like you mentioned, at what point did you decide that, hey, you know what, I want to start on my own? Because being the national head of a big four, right, it's a lot of money, it's a lot of perks, it's a lot of reputation. So there are a lot of things at stake, and you actually bootstrap the whole thing. So what was the mindset? If you could just go back a little and tell us.
Actually, I decided to be an entrepreneur way back in 2010. So 2010 is what I felt I should be on my own.
Yeah.
I I coined my name Transaction Square then, registered it also then, and it was on the backing of a popular place called Salisbury Square and Times Square. So I said if I had a firm, it should be called Transaction Square. But the opportunities kept coming in KPMG, which kept you growing. So everything was more exciting. Every year was very exciting, uh, and I kept on getting into my roles. I could only leave 8 years thereafter in 2018. But the seed to be an entrepreneur was way back in 2010, which also ensured that I did not go away from the professionalism. I just did not become marketing because I knew I had to go out, and for that only knowledge would matter. So I kept myself working with the clients and also doing managerial roles. So to that extent, I was a professional leader. I was not a marketing leader. So
Amazing.
when I left, it was well planned that I was very good at what I did and I had the KPMG experience and backing, and then I left with that tailwind with me and set this up.
That's That's great. So, there are a lot of people, today startups is everywhere. Everyone wants to be a part of it, right? But everyone does not have, you cannot just quit and start right away. There are a lot of responsibilities, a lot of things to forego, right? And there's no guaranteed success. So, I guess from your example, you took 8 years, to actually make the plunge, right? So do you feel that, hey, do you have any regrets that, hey, I should have done it earlier, or it's like, no, it was the right time and it happened? So
See,
what's your take?
I would say that a startup is very different from professional services.
Yeah.
In professional services, the more time you spend with a big four, the more experienced you are, the more knowledgeable you are, the more relationships you have.
Yeah.
So the later you start, the more successful you be. Whereas a startup, which you're seeing now, crypto or a e-commerce startup, in that youth is more important. So for professional services, I think between 40 and 50 is the right time to take the plunge. Because by the time you're 40 and 50, you have enough relationships, you have enough knowledge, and you have achieved that sobriety in your profession, which gives you the gravitas to build a firm. So for a startup, it's a different world. For a professional service firm getting started from a big four world, I think 40 to 50 is the right age to do that.
Amazing, amazing. And how was it building your team? So before I take the next question, can you also tell us about Transaction Square? Okay, a little bit about it, and what does the firm exactly do?
The firm is actually a proper accounting, tax, and regulatory firm, but we have just become geniuses in two things besides the regular stuff we do. One is M&A restructuring.
Okay.
So M&A restructuring is something which we really are very good at.
Yep.
So in the top league, we would be in the top five for the last 5 years, and ahead of a big four last year. And the second thing which we do very good is family offices. Like other than wealth, whatever the family office needs
Yep.
is what we really take care of. LRS, migration of residency, trust wills, family
Yep.
charter, family settlements, so on and so forth. So it's an accounting firm, tax regulatory, but these two are the geniuses which we have. The
Amazing.
firm strategy was to be everywhere. So what I used to tell my co-founders is that we should be wherever Indigo flies, because wherever Indigo flies, there are entrepreneurs, there are HNIs. Because in a airline strategy, they would go to cities where the money is. Then only people. I mean, you will not have an airline in a village. You'll have an airline in a place where there's decency to spend. So we chose that strategy, and now we have 14 offices. If not for COVID, we would have been 25 or 30.
Amazing. That's
But
great.
slowly and steadily, we'll get there.
Amazing. Also now talking about co-founders, right? You all have five founders in total. Okay, so why five? Okay, and from what I see from your LinkedIn post, most of them are your friends, almost like family, right? So, what are your 2 cents? First of all, tell us why five founders and how did you guys come together? And what is your advice to others who want to build with other founders, but it's not so easy finding one and working with one.
Actually, we were six of us actually.
Okay.
There was one more co-founder of mine who was the core co-founder with me, along with the other five, other four.
Okay.
So he left. He wanted to go back to the industry, so he left after a couple of years. But it is a shared vision which attracted us. We all felt we wanted to create jobs, we wanted to make a difference, and we
Yep.
really wanted to do good work to our clients and not just be marketing.
Yep.
So there was a dream to do something very different, and it's evolving every day. So if you ask me after 6 years, we really feel that we need to do something more, much more. So it's not that we've arrived at all. We are a day one startup. We still want to figure things out every day.
Amazing. And Girish, congratulations on 6 years. I mean, today is the day you started 6 years ago in
Oh
2018.
yes. Oh yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Yes. So, okay, Girish. So, what would you want to tell others who want to start with founders, co-founders? What is something that they should look at that worked for you?
I think it is first having a deep purpose of why you're doing it, and really what you want to solve for. Like I could see that the Indian entrepreneurship was emerging. I could see that family offices were becoming more relevant, and I also knew that people wouldn't be able to do those conversations with big fours. I'll give you an example. Suppose if you are a person who has uh, four children, two of your own, two from your uh, divorced wife, and you want to do a family settlement, you want to do wealth distribution, you will
Yep.
find it very awkward to go and talk to a big four.
Yep.
Whereas that confide firm, which is into that domain niche, trusted individuals, is where you will talk. If you're doing a trust, you may not want to open your cards with big firms. So, so what I felt is that there was a market emerging for it, and I also felt that the Big Four trust and the Big Four pedigree would be very relevant in this market. So, morphing into this was quite easy. But really, why you want to do this is very important. And
Yep.
money is not the goal. Money
Yep.
comes client satisfaction, client care, adding value, all those stuff which go with it
Yep.
is the prerequisite. Money will follow. Money will follow.
Amazing. And what's your 2 cents for those who want to choose the right founders? Like how do you like you don't you get scared like, hey, these are my very close friends. What if it's very different in business and very different otherwise? So what's your thinking there?
I think the way I looked at it is that I followed the Infosys model. I actually went and saw Narayan Mutri for a couple of times before I did this. And the learning was there that in the co-founders also, there has to be one who's quite senior than the rest, senior in
Yep.
terms of age.
Yep.
So I chose a model that the people who are like my co-founders were working together with us together for 15 years,
Yep.
and I was leading them then. So I knew the respect was there. I knew that if one person was there at that, so-called fatherly figure, and then four, five others are there who love working with one another,
Yep.
then the glue could be kept in. So I think that if you did it with three equals, you
Yep.
would have a problem. But if you did it with mentorship, such that you are responsible for the co-founders
Yep.
and not one being responsible for one another, then it works better. So, so I'm very cognizant that the buck stops at me, and my co-founders are like my brothers, sisters, my children. So they would never be eating last. I would be eating last. So
That's amazing.
I love them, and there's mutual respect, and it makes the firm stronger.
That's great. That's an amazing insight for all of us, right? Otherwise, with everyone equal, most and often it's not easy. Like I've spoken to a lot of people, I've experienced it myself. It's so this seems like a great way.
And
Cool.
equal in the sense only out of
Age,
age. That's
exactly. Just out of age,
yes,
absolutely.
it's the
Yeah.
respect they have which keeps
Yeah.
the firm.
Yeah, absolutely. Just out of age. Also, Girish, you mentioned that you bootstrap this. I mean, like you could have easily fundraised and scaled, and because a lot of others are also doing it, right? So, why did you bootstrap? Why? I read an article where you said you actually sold your FDs, you broke your mutual funds, and you actually started this, and you have a family to look after, and a lot of aspects. So, how was it? Was it like what ifs? Did you have any what ifs? What if this did not pan out the way I wanted to?
I actually, yes, you're right. I mean, I sold my excess houses. We all have houses in two-tier cities. I sold all of them. My children, I took a commitment from them that they wouldn't go overseas to study because if this was there, then they couldn't go overseas because of the cost of overseas education. So they also made sacrifices in this. But I knew it would work out because I knew that in India to live, it's not more than a couple of lakhs, and that though whatever you do, you will manage. So if this does not work out, if things didn't go okay, at least something you would do to keep your family going. So that was always the safety net which I had. But yes, if you have an investor with you, then obviously then you are doing what the investor wants you to do. Suppose if I want to build a brand out of trust and honesty, then
Yep.
with a target, things can be different. Answers to situations can be different.
Yep.
So I didn't want target pressures. I didn't want anything to be going wrong in the culture of the firm and the value systems which we were building. So that's where we bootstrapped it.
That's quite a risk, to be very honest. It's not so easy, right? It's not so easy at all.
It's not so difficult also if you don't compare with what you leave behind. If you compare with what you started your life with,
Yeah.
then it's very easy. But if you compare with, like I'll give you an example, like I would have, a car waiting for me at every location I landed with placards, the best hotels to stay in on business travels. secretaries. I used to have a couple of them. All that went away. So when I compare with that, then it is, oh yes, I've made so many sacrifices. But when I compare with the other guy who's just trying to make his life every day, it's not a big deal. It's not a big
That's
deal
it.
at all.
That's amazing. And that's great that your family was okay with it. You know what I mean? Because nowadays, most of us want to study abroad. It's like the norm, literally. Like if you come from a family which is self sufficient, you go to the US, you go to the UK. It's normal.
But they cheered me right through. Today also, I was just seeing a LinkedIn post. My daughter has forwarded my post. I didn't know she felt this about the phone, the way she's articulated her thoughts. But I guess family bless.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So everyone who's watching, I know a lot of you are watching. It's somehow the comments are not showing. I've put my WhatsApp number. You could just take it. I'll take the questions right away. I have one question from Gaurav, but I'll just take that after this. Okay. So Girish, you started with 30 folks. Usually, when people start an advisory firm, they start small, 5, 6 people. But you started with 6 offices, 30 clients, a team of 35 partners. Like quite extensive and expansive. It required a lot of investment, and it was bold, right? So how did you decide all of these things? Like, can you just take us a little bit? Like, how did you think?
So see, if you look at when you go for any medical treatment,
Yeah,
what do you ask the doctor? How many people have you cured? How many operations have you done? What are the
yeah,
results of your surgeries? What are the things where things didn't go right?
yeah,
Tell me your experiences. Similarly, in consultancy, the business of rhythms and currents. Okay, you want to do a deal, or what is the probability of this structure going through? What is the probability? Who's done it in the past? You want to take an insurance? What is the percentage you must take? What happened in the last deal? Did they take an insurance, not take an insurance? So people want experience, they want rhythms and currents. So if you want to be the best, you can't do it with 3, 4 people. You have to do it with a base which gives you rhythms and currents. So at least you know what's happening across the industry. So that was a thought. So we said, okay, what will give you rhythms and currents? Below 100 people, you don't get any rhythms and currents. So you don't know what happened. If you ask me what happened in the last 4 IPOs, why did it happen, not happen? If you are doing 4 IPOs, then you can answer. If you are not doing 4 IPOs, just doing one, then you can't answer. So it's a business of rhythms and currents, which I was very conscious of. So I thought we'll have 30 from the big fours, and then we'll have teams below them from other than big four. And we don't want to hire big four people now because we have our own culture. We just needed a 30 to build that big four come Indian culture, which is
yep,
what we were.
yep. Amazing, amazing. And did you have mentors who guided you on this, or it was like you knew that this would work and that's how it was? Did you have mentors? And did anyone tell you that you're maybe spreading yourself too thin by just going to so many cities all at one go?
No, what I realized is people couldn't relate or still don't relate to what I am doing and why am I doing. Because if you go to a big four person, they will never understand what is it to build a firm because they've not done it. They're very successful in what they are. Even I
Yep,
had not done it till I did it.
yep,
So mentorship comes from different aspects of life. So I wouldn't say I have one mentor. I would go to different people for different things. So, like, say, if I am doing some digital stuff, I would go to somebody who's good in digital. If I'm doing
yep,
marketing, I will do something with who's a good in marketing. So, I would go to different people for different things. But I
yep.
wouldn't have one person who understands this whole thing. Certainly not another chartered accountant, because there are only 2, 3 people who've done it. I mean, uh, not everybody.
True that. True that. So it's more like speaking to different people who can cater to different questions that you have, and of course, following your gut. That's about it. We
Correct.
have this question from Gaurav. I'll just take up these questions. They said, "Could you share some light on your strategy for Gift City, and are you also looking at expanding to the UAE to cater to the family offices there?"
I will be in Gift City. Our firm will set up something in Gift City. We will have a global capability center in Gift City for accounting. Now
Yep.
we're waiting for the final guidelines to come in to freeze the plan.
Yep.
And are you looking at expanding in UAE to keep cater to family offices on an opportunity basis? I think there's lots to be done in India. There is lots to be done in India. I mean, I was looking at the Huron millionaire list. So many people to go to, approach, to service in family offices in India. So I will be India focused for a longer period of time.
Okay. Okay, that's amazing. Gaurav also has this. He is a great follower of Girish and definitely motivating enough to keep building what he has. So he has this message for you. So it's on the screen.
Oh no, I read it. Thank you. Thanks,
Yes.
Gaurav.
Yes. Okay. So Girish, can you take us through your journey? So I just found this online, right? And it says like in 2018, you had a team of 36 offices, 30 plus clients. And when you look at it in 2022, it's 350, 14, and 1,200, which is an amazing growth, right? So would you want to take us through to, like, how was the growth each year and what was the challenges in each phase?
The growth each year was very, very, uh, I would say the word of mouth marketing worked very, very well.
Okay.
So till now, we've not spent even 1 rupee in advertisement or or newspapers or any media, because we just thought word of mouth marketing will take, and people call us for the love of us and not planting our story anywhere. So
Yep.
so the way it worked is we did good work and more good work and more good work, which led to more good work. So one sent us to another, another to another. And when COVID happens, we said we will not work from home. So we worked through the COVID from office. And
Okay.
because we worked through the COVID period from office, we had an edge. We had an edge, and
Okay.
that really defined us.
Okay. Girish, would you want to like emphasize a little bit on 2018? Like, if you have to go back and just think, how was 2018? I mean, what we see on LinkedIn is a lot of work, a lot of traveling, right? A lot of hard work. But how was the journey? What were the good, the achievements, the challenges, 2018, 19? If you can take us through each phase, because see, the growth is amazing. So everyone's like very curious to know how was it.
2018 was it was about survival. Like you're adding people. Will you have enough to pay their salaries?
Yep.
Uh, and but work kept coming, so that was not a problem then. 2019, we started to see profits. 1920,
Yep.
and we started to do well. We did a offside also,
Yep.
and then towards the end of 1920, we had COVID hit us. So then again, we did not know where COVID would take us, whether we should do pay cards, whether we should not do pay cards, do we survive the firm. But but then we got that confidence, like we will never let our people down. So we carried the firm with wherever they were. Nobody was made uncertain, though it was making more FDs then. But we carried the firm, and then things turned. Then things turned, and then the only way was up. So 2020 to 20 to 23, we had the best period. We had the best period for us. And business started to grow. Our brand became more and more visible. Good assignments started to come. And I think the COVID, when we worked from the office, made all the difference because we were visiting people. People also wanted to visit us because they were fed up of sitting at home. So a lot of Indian clients did trust wills, family charters, family settlements, and our business really grew. So working from office gave us that edge, I think,
It's
across the.
amazing.
I
Amazing.
should travel in flights. There should be 20 people only. So empty the flights used to be that time.
Okay, that's great. So Girish, when you mentioned that, would you want to share a little bit about any specific situation or challenge which you guys faced, which was like which you would want to share with others, and you guys overcame that?
See, challenges could be from two, three different stuff. So we are in a
Yeah.
business where multinationals only want to work with big fours. So when we went to multinational clients,
Yep.
many of them told us that we only deal with big four because all our decisions are globally controlled, and
Yep.
we can't use you because you're not a big four. So there were a lot of defeats also. But then there were always that one chance you got wherein a solution was not found, or whenever Somebody could not crack it, and they thought, let's try somebody else. And that one chance we made something out of. And we got into many multinationals who really are now are very good clients of ours. So that thing, that barrier, you should never ever give up. Should just be at it. Just be at it. Just be at it. Second is, if you look at my competition,
Yep.
somebody is doing entrepreneurship awards, somebody is doing go offsites, somebody is doing gala dinners, big conferences. A firm like ours will have the budget or the gravitas to do it. So, so despite all that, how do you have your relevance with your clients? Uh, I also realize that uh, that is all outside on the optics of it. If you do good work, your
Yep.
clients are wishing plans. So you don't need to do all that to get work. Confidence of clients doing good work and one client confiding in you and referring to another confided client makes the business happen. So anybody who sees from far FOMO that, oh, I can't host a tax head for outside or I can't give an award to somebody should never get
Yep.
worried. That's the optic world. Real world is on the core. Is that Parsi doctor sitting in some rundown hospital, but the best surgeon where everybody goes to?
Amazing. Amazing. Girish, you mentioned that even when a lot of clients were saying, "Hey, you're not the big four," and I'm sure you had great relationships with all of those clients because you worked with them in the past at some level or the other, right? So, did it like how did you handle those relationships? And when you say at it, what do you mean at it?
At it means they were all my well wishers and friends. They had their limitations, so I respected their limitations. But what they did for me, they referred their friends to me. If they were in a party and some Indian promoter said, "Okay, I'm looking at some advice," they said, "Oh, I know this guy. Please go to him." So, so though they had their own limitations, they always were cheerleaders and they referred their relationships to us. So maybe a PE wanted a big four for their investment committee, but the friends wanted to refer me to their portfolio companies where there was no restriction on hiring. So business kept growing, and I would say never get angry with anybody, never disrespect anybody. If somebody is not giving you work, it is his limitation. Sometimes people can't do it, so that doesn't mean that they don't like you. But just be at it, be thankful, grateful, and keep a relationship and make it happen.
Okay, that's some great advice. That's amazing. So Girish, after the years and years working at KPMG and in a very senior role, did it ever feel that? We usually assume that hey, you'll get clients easily. But sometimes the lucky streak plays out. Sometimes it tests you. So did you go through that testing phase?
Or actually, actually no, because support came from different sources. What I felt is the market needs a transaction square. Today also, I tell you, suppose if I come to you and ask you in Dubai, where should I go to eat? You will say, you won't tell me go to a KFC or a
Yeah.
McDonald's, right?
Yeah.
Where will you guide me to? You guide me to that niche hotel which is unique in Dubai, which has a
Yep.
legacy, which is has a personal touch.
Yep.
So the like how the hotel industry needs a Taj and a Oberoi,
Yep.
the market needs a transaction square.
That's
Lemon trees and Novotels and the big brands will be there, but the market. Suppose I'm telling you, if I came to you and where would you guide me to a McDonald's, Subway, or
No.
a
To
so
a authentic space which you don't find
when
anywhere else.
clients ask like, tell me who's a great structuring advisor. They want to say, okay, go to Transaction Square. Going to a big four is like, okay, everybody can direct you there, but
Yep.
market needs a Transaction Square. I think I learned that in my journey.
That's
You'll be
amazing.
called for the expertise we have.
That's amazing. And as you said, the market needs a transaction square. Can you highlight a little bit more about the Indian market and what are the opportunities that you see? Because there are a lot of folks working in the big four or otherwise who want to start their own.
No, no,
What
no,
do you
no,
tell
no.
them?
I think there's a big entry barrier in our business. I think the firm which I deeply respect besides us is Dhruva, Dinesh Kanabar.
Yeah.
he can be my mentor because when I talk to him, he's gone through the journey I'm going through.
Yep.
So, if you see there's an entry barrier, and the entry barrier is courage and guts. So to have the courage and guts to say I will give up my 3 4 crores or more and be a man on the street and give up my business class travel and figure out whether I go middle seat or get down on an airport and figure out an Uber to take you to where you want to go next. It takes a lot of guts, especially after having led that life. So many people want to do it only in thoughts. Very few people will land up doing it, and very few people will be able to create what a Dhruva is or a transaction square is because there's a big entry barrier, and that's guts. So that's why it is. If you get into this with that courage, uh, and the market can absorb 100 transaction squares because the
Amazing.
market is just coming. It's just coming up now. India's story is here to stay forever. See the fun now after the elections. It's gonna rock.
Do you want to
Oh,
highlight more on this, the India story?
money will flow. Money has to flow. Look at the PMSs. Look at the QIPs of Vodafone, 18,000 crores. Uh, what scale are we talking about here? So when money flows, accounting, tax, regulation has to do well because it's all linked to flow of money, and money flows into India, across India, within India, cross-border India. This is here to stay.
Yep. That's amazing. Cool. We have this question from Ankit. We'll just take this question. He says, "What advice would you give an emerging CA firm to enter into M&A?"
I would say that hire the right talent. Don't experiment. Don't experiment. You can't experiment anything. You can't experiment a heart surgery. M&A is the most deep entrench of the profession, which requires a heart. It's like a deep brain surgery where you require experts and robots to go into it. So don't experiment. Don't experiment. Hire experts. Hire
Girish,
the right.
yeah, sorry. You were saying something.
No, no. I was just saying you take such big decisions, you can't go wrong.
Okay, okay. So can you elaborate a little bit what goes into M&A and what is your day like? Like a little bit on that.
My day is I would get up normally at 3 or 4, prepare for the day, read newspapers, go through the global events, and if I'm traveling, take a flight at 6. If I'm in office, be in office by 8 8:30, and it goes on till 10 10:30. So it's round the clock, and I would say in the 6 years I wouldn't have had a Sunday holiday. It's been so interesting and so engrossing, and so many things have been happening. I could fill my every slot. There's family time with it, but the day is learning, 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 adding value to clients.
Wow. You start your day at 3 or 4 in the morning and you
Yes,
sleep and
that's
you
the routine.
sleep pretty late. Wow.
Not very late, but it's a routine. So,
That's
so it's,
inspiring.
I love what I do. So
Yeah.
it's like I love the subject. So that's where it comes from.
Okay, okay. Now you mentioned about team hiring the right team, right? Like we see all the time in the newspapers and it's reported over the internet, right? That there's a great need for advisory folks. There's of course a hire and fire kind of a culture happening, but there's always there's always poaching going on for good folks. So does that actually bother you? Do you think about it? What if this can happen? Like, is that something?
See, I would think that as long as you do the right things, then you will not fail. So, what is right thing in a profession? Respect the professional. Treat him with utmost respect.
Yep.
Listen to his ideas. Treat him with respect. And second is reward him well. If you do two things, and if you still lose people, you must not worry. So you must focus on what you can do, and not worry about will somebody leave me otherwise. So I just focus on these two things, and people people respect the firm. They treat it like their own, and this firm belongs to everybody. So it works.
Amazing. Amazing. We have this question which says, how do you find your niche in international taxation and structure, and what one needs to do to create a name for him or herself?
I think the niche in international taxation and structure is the ability to take decisions, ability to form a judgment. Four options, what is the right thing to do? Five options, which is the right ethical, governant way to do it. So as long as you are able to take that decision, you will always create a name for yourself. People go to people who guide them to do the right thing. Imagine going to a doctor who says, I will change this wall, that wall, and not tell you what to do. That doesn't work. So to have a judgment on what is right for a situation is what makes or breaks you. So in the younger period, to be around in that judgment is what you should focus on.
Okay. We have another question from Gaurav. It says, with ESG coming up as a new practice area, what are the opportunities for a firm like yours in this space? Or are you actively looking at companies focusing on ESG during the M&A advisory transactions?
Oh, yes, so it's a very big opportunity. We are trying to evolve a strategy. We have not done it completely yet, but
Yep.
it is something which we can't ignore. In the
Yep.
next 6 months, we will be totally prepared. We do parts of it, but not full parts of it. We do a lot of governance part of it, which is LODR, compliances and all. But the bigger part of ESG, we still have to get into.
Okay. Okay. We have another question from it's on my WhatsApp. What are the few prominent areas of practice with great prospects, according to you, and your advice for new firms looking to grow big?
I would say the biggest thing is technology. How can we tech enable a lot of the stuff we do? How can we convert that into a product, like wealth has done, or even what broking has been demolished by? So I think this time model will not work for long. Time model will work only where you're judging things because most of the stuff are available on chat gpt and various sources. So how do you morph from a people-led practice to a tech-enabled practice where judgment is taken and make products which solve for problems? So I would say in the next 3 4 years there will be a lot of disruption in the profession. And if somebody wants to do M&A, he has to be in judgment because other M&A will be Googled, will be on ChatGPT. So how do you evolve into products? How do you evolve into newer things is where the focus should be.
Amazing. Would you want to highlight a little bit more about how will consulting be disrupted? So recently there was a paper that was published on the death of one of the big fours. Okay, on those lines. So can you elaborate, like what with an example? Like you said, some M&As will just be Googled, and in some spaces you need
So
judgment.
big
Yeah.
fours will never die. Big four will be there forever. It's like sun and the moon. They always will rise and fall. But I think they will evolve. So the digital business, the transformation business, IPO business. So they do a lot of stuff. Maybe the M&A business will change into different stuff. They're so big, they keep doing different stuff. So they will evolve into stronger advisory businesses. They'll be into infrastructure, government, different kind of stuff. And I think you should not be afraid if you're in a big four to be changing your career from doing tax returns to moving on to something where the future is. And it could be digital consulting.
Okay. Okay.
So big four won't die.
Okay, so from what I understand is you're telling everyone who wants to get into consulting or start their firm, use technology as the base, and
Correct.
then of course you will have to use your other skills to make the decision. But the base is
Correct.
technology, so the number of hours will be reduced with technology.
Absolutely.
Okay, okay, and that's how Transaction Square is also prepping for it. Like you guys have
Yes.
taken all this into consideration.
Yes, absolutely. As we prepare for the future.
Okay, okay, that's amazing. So, Girish, I have this last question for you. Okay, you recently also announced about Transaction Square GCC. Okay, so if you could just share a little bit about that, what are you thinking? What are the opportunities here? And of course, what next for Transaction Square in the next 5 to 10 years?
I think the opportunity is to create a firm in India for the global needs, be it valuation, diligence, research, and we're going to start with valuations, which we are building a team in Pune. How to how to do valuations for the entire world from India, and the idea of that is to make sure that the India talent can do work for the whole world, and then move on to different kinds of things like research, diligence, MLIs, transfer pricing, uh, so that it's a back office to the world. You got to start with Pune, move on to Ahmedabad, and we want to see it evolve. So, so at this point of time, we will experiment for a year before it takes off.
Okay. So when you say you want, Transaction Square, the back office operations to do M&A for the world, like, can you elaborate a little bit on that?
So
What is
let's say if you were a Morgan Stanley wanting
yeah.
to do deals globally, and for deals you need valuation support, research on what multiples should be there, make your presentations. You could outsource that to India. Now Morgan Stanley can do it because they can set up their service center in India, but they could be second tier Morgan Stanleys who are not so big, who can't afford to have their own setup in India. They'll be happy to give me 10, 20 people's work to service them so that we control the quality, we have the talent, and we have a back office. So that's the kind of stuff which we're looking at this point.
Okay. And is it very competitive? Is it what is your analysis about this space?
My analysis of the space is that there are not too many people with our pedigree who've tried this. And if I go to the US and present myself as an ex tax head of KPMG doing this with the trust and integrity we have,
Yep.
we will have a chance.
Okay, that's amazing. I'll just take this last question from Komal. She says, "Will Transaction Square also expand into management consulting?"
We are doing parts of it already, which is merger integrations, some strategies. Some part of it is also in the evaluation of deals. We are doing parts of it. So we will see the opportunities and then take a call.
Okay, cool. So, Girish, would you have any closing message for everyone who's watching? We've got like 96 people watching you right now currently. What is, and everybody wants to start something of their own, grow in their career. Most of them are from the big fours consulting guys. What's your take?
I think it's each individual answering his own calling here. If you feel from within you need to do something, please go out and do it. Things will happen.
And
But if
don't
you,
chase from the
yeah,
first day.
yeah. No, it will happen. It will happen. Nothing to it.
Okay, that's it. Just
Thank
be
you.
courageous and go out.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, absolutely.
Done, done. Thanks a
All the
lot.
best
Thanks a
to
lot,
all.
Girish. Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much.
Thank you.
And
Bye.
thank you everyone for watching in. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.